Dr. Ahmed YouTube channel. Today I'm going to screen record 3 chapters in one go because they're not that important. The important things in these chapters will be highlighted. So first of all, it is chapter 8. And this chapter is about the war, as the first sentence goes to indicate that it is about the war which has started, and the British people were trying to recruit as many people as possible. And as a result, number of people could be found that they were present there in the Chandni Chowk, and the things were happening with great hustle and bustle, and the people were being attracted towards that. And the ironic statement comes from the writer in these lines where my cursor is moving. For example, he says, those who had been conquered were going to fight for the conquerors, lay down their lives for 12 or 18 rupees a month. So that's very ironic that Indian nation was conquered by force, by war, by putting tragedy on them by the British people, and now the same Indian were being invited to come and to fight for the sake of the conqueror. And for this purpose, they were being paid 12 or 18 rupees a month only. That was the situation. So in that way, the indication of the war is there, the war which took place in the 20th century, which proved somewhat precursor of the loss of the things which the British would definitely have ultimately in the end of that war. So that war is going to tell us that there is the start or the beginning of the end of colonialism in the traditional colonialism, we should say, in the subcontinent of India. So the war was going on, and during the war, what happens? The discussion is going on the shop of Mirza, the milk seller, that the Germans are preparing the eggs, and when you try to eat them or try to break them, they kill you in the same way. Another indication is given about the things, the bowls of eating are there that can also make bad loss to the people, and same is the case with the things made up of the cream and the things made up of the gold, or all these things have been designed by that. And in that way, some of the war tactics have been highlighted as the people of Germany would do with the British people, and so certain war tactics were going on. And on this page 220, as the area is being designated, that there were the costliness of the things, the dearness of the things was spreading, and famine was expected because the war had turned all the situations. Instead of solving the problems of the people, that were not solving at all, and instead it was increasing into the badness of the life of the people. Only one man was happy, and that was Siddiq. He was Bania. He was a type of money lender and money businessman. He was happy because, according to him, government was doing a lot because he had earned a lot of money. So in that way, the insincerity of the people of capitalism towards the common people, that has been highlighted by the writer in these lines. The writer continues to talk on this chapter, and as you see, the ending is like that the Siddiq Mr. goes away, but the last lines are very important in this way. A strong gust of wind blew, and the dim kerosene lamp which lighted the lane went out, and Siddiq was lost in the dark. So it means that the light, or the brightness which was expected out of the rule of the British people, that also stopped burning, and as a result, no, it was not possible for them to burn and give brightness or light, and that is why it has burned. So this is symbolic of the death of that colonialism which had started in the subcontinent so powerfully, and it was now under the threat, under the power, under the war, and that possibly may be resulting in the getting lost into the darkness. So in that way, this chapter is throwing some light on the political condition of the British people here. Because of the war, they are going to meet their end. And the same end happens in chapter 9 about Mir Nihal, for example, according to him. First of all, the writer would discuss about the dearness which had spread everywhere. The poor people were annoyed, workers were annoyed because the businesses were failing, and the dearness was increasing because of the war with Germany, and the things were not so good at all. In that way, the people were not buying the things, rather they were economizing. So, as is the modern case, that most of the Uh, Governments have felt the threat of being extinguished because of the dearness. In the current age, also the same thing was possibly present in the past time, because the dearness is being mentioned here, and dearness could be the cause of the early departure of any government which possibly existed in the past time also. No, it is here in the ending part of this page where I have created this indication to show that this is the part of the chapter that we should be reading and we should be trying to understand. According to the writer, he tells us about the condition of Mir Nihal, that he was losing his balance while he was walking, and when he tried to control himself, he saw that one pigeon is dead in the gutter and it's looking very dirty and looking very upset as well. And Mir Nihal got upset because of that, because he took it as a type of symbol of death of the beloved things which he had. First, his pigeons died, then his Baban Jan died, and now he is feeling himself very close to death, and that is why he is taking the death of this beautiful pigeon as something of the death of beauty, of the culture, of the things which were good in his life. Possibly his own death is going to be hinted at here. And the same thing happens on page 23, and you can look at the words he speaks when he looks at a dead body being carried by the people. He joins those people, supports the dead body, and says, "We belong to God, and unto him shall we return." That he's remembering his death, death of the people also that is happening. So death is being talked about, first of all, in the shape of the pigeon, and then in the shape of one man's funeral. And in that way, this is possibly the kind of indication of Mir Nihal's death himself. And the same happens that in this passage, in these bracketed lines, we can see that Mir Nihal was in the middle of his prayer and he felt a kind of weakness in him and heaviness. He couldn't control himself, ultimately fell on the prayer mat. And Mr. Ghafoor came to help him, other people came to help him. Hakim Ajmal was called and he gave the medicine to Mir Nihal, but then Mir Nihal was unable to come up to his healthy back position. He couldn't come up, and instead of that, he felt weakness. And for a very long time, very many days and many months passed by, and ultimately it was declared that Mir Nihal had an attack of paralysis. His right hand and leg wouldn't work, his left hand would work, and he would be able to speak very well. But after the treatment of Hakim Ajmal, he was able to at least talk and but lay continuously there. Now, after the Hakim, many of the people suggested different treatments to improve, and so one of his friend, who was Kambal Shah here, for example, in this paragraph, the word Kambal Shah can be seen. Kambal Shah suggested that the pelican, the bird's oil, should be rubbed on the affected area of Mir Nihal. So first of all, pelican bird couldn't be found, and ultimately it was found, and oil was prepared, and the wrestler Pehlwan Shamu Khan came in order to apply that oil of pelican on the leg and arm of Mir Nihal, but no change came at all. Mir Nihal's life now was dragging, a type of dragging. He lay continuously, as we see in this paragraph. The writer says, as the months dragged on, his condition improved to the extent that he could sit up of his own accord by catching hold of the wooden side of the bed, and he could drag himself a little on it. In the evening, he was made to sit in the chair. He could just stand up on one leg with the help of a stick and drag himself a few paces. The first day that he was able to do this, he felt happy and doleful. So that's the kind of poverty of health, that's the kind of problem, disease which Mir Nihal is suffering from because of paralysis. It is the paralysis which stops the life of Mir Nihal, changes the life of Mir Nihal, as Mir Nihal is the symbol of the Mughal culture. Robust, strong, beautiful, powerful he was, but now it is broken, it is weakened, it is in a very poor condition, and that is reflective of the whole Muslim Mughal culture as well. So Mir Nihal is under this condition, and in this condition, he is trying to invent for himself some of the games. For example, one of the games he was playing was to trap the rats which came out of the gutters. And this passage where my cursor is present, it has been bracketed as well. It shows the first time he trapped a rat, he felt so happy. Now this is what is left for him, that he should trap the rats. But however, whatever the thing was there, so childish behavior declared by Ghafoor, the servant for him, but still the things continued. He continued to catch the rats and then put them away as well. But one day he was able to catch and see another animal which is called as mongoose, which is mentioned here in this paragraph. And this mongoose started to make love. Female mongoose ran away and it was again captured by him. And as soon as Mir Nihal saw this, he was remembering Baban Jan as well. Because according to him, Baban Jan also suffered from, she also tried to avoid death so many times, but ultimately she died. But she was the love of Mir Nihal and he remembers her very much. So this is memories and memories again and again. He remembers throughout the day and throughout the night and looks at the people, feels good only when something good happens, otherwise not. Begum Mir Nihal herself is having poor eyesight, though she was serving her husband as much as possible. Because of the poor eyesight, she was unable to do so. This chapter begins with her poor eyesight, and we can read here that Hakim Karimuddin came and gave her some special collyrium and white pills which had to be rubbed on stone with water, and the unguent this prepared was to be put in the eyes, but there were hardly any improvement. So the medicine was given to Begum Mir Nihar to improve her eyesight, but it was not possible at all for her. And the story therefore turns to Asghar. But before that, we must talk that the elder generation, that is Mir Nihar and Begum Mir Nihar, they were feeling the thrust and the attack of diseases and the weakness in them, and they are preparing for the departure from this world. But not only this, the old generation is suffering, but also the new and young generation is suffering. For example, in the last chapters, we had read that Asghar's inattention or indifference towards his wife Bilqis was causing a lot of trouble for her. Though the daughter was born, Jahan Ara, the name of daughter was born, and she was now 5 years old, as we are told here. But still, there was no change in the life of Asghar, in the life of this wife of Asghar, Bilqis. But the child was growing up with the passage of time. Asghar grew a fascination for his child, but no love returned towards Bilqis at all. Though he didn't show that much anger, that much indifference towards her, but still there was no love at all. And that was creating a lot of trouble for Bilqis. She felt sometimes very, very bad, but still it was not possible for her to come out of the whole thing. She was feeling that something bad is happening with her. And one day, she was sleeping on her bed, and all of a sudden, in the evening time, she slept and she had a dream. She was feeling so sad and bad that the dream was also equally bad. The writer has mentioned this dream in detail. Here, she was dreaming what she was dreaming. She was dreaming that there is a man, Asir, possibly in her dream. He all of a sudden looks to be very, very old. And she is watching him. She tried to talk to him, but she could not. He appeared to be very monstrous. He appeared to be in a very bad condition, very, very old, and we can say the weak person. He appeared to her in her dream, and she took it in her dream. She took it as if she is having the kind of indication of her death, which was quite close and quite coming to her. Hakims and doctors were called for, as for example, we can see the name of the doctor also, Dr. Mitra, in this chapter, who was called in order to treat Bilqis, but he also could not bring her back. And ultimately, in the last chapter of this section, we are told that she was suffering from TB and therefore died very soon. So these chapters, this 11th chapter of the third part also once again repeats everything which we have from the last time, that Mir Nihal was in trouble. He was very close to death, and as you can see, Asghar called Dr. Mitra, that he took care of Bilqis, but he also died, and there was nothing left of these people. All of these people are likely to die, and chapter 4 will close the book, and there will be new certain things that we shall find. Part 4 we shall begin some next video. So this is the kind of summary I wanted my students to know about that. Once again, part 4 will begin with the heat, as most of other 3 parts have begun with the heat of summer. Same will happen here, but this will be in some next video. So far, thank you for watching. Hope to see you again. If you like this, do not fail to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the comments also, if sometime I do, answer to them. Thank you for watching.